Charles Horvath. Charles was 20 years old when he vanished on May 26, 1989. Charles was born in Ontario, Canada, to Max and Denise Horvath. After a divorce, Denise and Charles moved to Yorkshire, England, while Max remained in Ontario, Canada. Charles remained curious about his Canadian heritage, and in September 1988 he decided that a trip to Canada would be exciting. So he decided to make a trek across the great country Canada, and backpacking while taking on odd jobs would be the most immersive, and that would give him the best experience. On May 11, 1989, Charles sent his last letter home to his mother Denise in Yorkshire, England by fax. The letter was faxed from Roche Stationers in Kelowna BC. The contents of the fax was with regards to the future meetup with Denise and his stepfather Stuart for his 21st birthday and Denise's 40th birthday. Later, when Charles failed to contact his family to finalize their arrangement, Denise contacted the Kelowna detachment of the RCMP. The date was August 10, 1989. She then mounted a search for him across the country, placing advertisements in local and provincial newspapers prior to her first trek across Canada. During this trek, she was accompanied by Stuart. The Zebroff family, a family from Kelowna, contacted Denise via the Kelowna detachment of the RCMP. They read about Charles missing in a local newspaper. They also stated that they had met him in late spring while he was in Kelowna, British Columbia, and allowed him to stay at their home temporarily. Joanne Zebroff remembered him well and felt that he had a close relationship with his mother, Denise. On the last time he visited their apartment, they had company over and were unable to let him join them. At first, she believed that the visit occurred in May. However, police later determined that was in July. In the middle of May 1989, Charles registered at Tiny Tent Town on Lakeshore Road in Kelowna, where Gordie Happ helped him put up his tent, which had been given to him by the Lighthouse Outreach Charity. Tiny Tent Town campsite and RV park at 3316 Lakeshore Road, V1W3T1. Charles then registered at various student employment agencies during May 1989. Charles obtained a job at Flintstones Amusement Park. It is unclear how many days he worked for the park, but he did receive a paycheck from them for an undisclosed amount. On May 26th, he cashed his paycheck at the Kelowna Royal Bank in Orchard Park. This is Charles' last confirmed sighting. Whether Charles returned to his tent in Tiny Tent Town is unclear. What is clear is that all of his belongings were left in his tent. Denise, Charles' mother, telephoned the Kelowna detachment of the RCMP asking for help in locating her son, as she was anxious as she had not received the call from him that she was expecting. She made many more calls to the RCMP. Denise Horvath reported her son Charles as officially missing on the 10th of August 1989. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police launched an official search of the area inside Tiny Tent Town campsite on Lakeshore Road in July 1990. Denise Horvath Ellen advised them that her son Charles had been camping at Tiny Tent Town. The RCMP then were able to retrieve a few items that a Tiny Tent Town resident had found and kept. When pressed by the police, the resident handed over without argument. These items included various pieces of clothing and Charles' shaving bag. Immediately after, Denise found out through her own personal investigation that she conducted after her son went missing led her to visiting and speaking with the manager of Tiny Tent Town. The manager gave her 3 small items that he believed belonged to Charles. Those items were a rosary, a tiny red Bible, a leather strap from Charles' boot, which had been kept in the storage shed that was located in the RV park. The manager then went on to state that the rest of Charles' personal belongings, such as his tent, personal photographs, and his ID, had been thrown away in the spring of 1990. The RCMP have stated that they have an open mind about Charles' disappearance, and Constable Chris Clark said, quote, "There is obviously concern after so many years of not being in contact with someone, whether it is a recovery at this point or not. They have also stated that the file will remain open until Charles Horvath is located. Then, in 1995, there is a possible breakthrough. In September 1995, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were led to a location in a logging area just outside of Kelowna, where they recovered the remains of a decomposed body. Denise Horvath and family waited for 6 long, agonizing weeks to find out whether the remains were their son Charles or not. The police were not the ones to inform Denise that it was in fact not Charles, but they were informed via friends who had seen the reports in the local press. In 2010, the Serious Crime Unit of the RCMP in Kelowna listed Charles Horvath as deceased. Theories. Denise resided in England and has made several yearly trips to Kelowna, Canada to investigate and remember her son Charles. On one such trip, early on in the investigation, in March of 1992, she received 2 anonymous letters delivered by taxi while she was staying at the Pandosi Inn Hotel, detailing how Charles had been at a party at the tiny tent town with the locals in the campsite, and a fight broke out and he was subsequently killed. The letter further went on to describe that the perpetrators took his body and dumped him into the lake Okanagan. This led police volunteer divers to organize and search Lake Okanagan. Vancouver-based International Sea Search aided with the submersible camera along with a volunteer team to search beneath an old floating bridge. The search for Charles lasted 6 days. On the 5th day, the RCMP joined in on the search. On Friday, April 3rd, 1992 at 10:14, the Vancouver International Sea Search located a male body under the water, and the RCMP were promptly called. The RCMP attended the scene at 10:17 a.m. Then the RCMP divers went into the lake, recovered the body, and brought him to the surface. The body was of an elderly gentleman that had committed suicide at the lake 7 years earlier. Denise Horvath believes her son Charles died in the summer of 1989. Denise stated that, quote, "How and by what means I don't know, but something terrible happened to him." She said, quote, "I want to know where he is. I want him to be laid to rest with his beloved Nana in Cambridge, England." So 33 years ago, Charles Horvath cashed his check at the Royal Bank in Orchard Park in Kelowna and has never been seen again. Denise has so many questions like, how can someone completely vanish without a trace? Was he murdered? And if so, how and why was he killed? And where is his body? And after all these years, the case is still open. The Kelowna RCMP would like anyone with any information to please come forward and call 1-800-222-8477 or contact Crime Stoppers at crimestoppers.net. Denise Horvath Ellen maintains a Search for Charles Horvath Ellen Foundation page on Facebook. In 2021, with the 32nd anniversary of Charles' disappearance, Kirsty Bennett, a criminology lecturer from Leeds School of Social Sciences in England, spent some time with Denise to generate a cold case unit article, and it has been posted online. Bennett, whose area of expertise is in cold case homicides, missing persons, and no body murders, also urges anyone with any information about this case to please contact Crime Stoppers. Denise is no longer after vengeance or justice. She is appealing to the person or persons involved to please come forward. She just wants closure. Denise believes that his remains are still out there somewhere, and she just seeks answers. This day, Denise believes that one of the strongest leads in the case is also one of the first. While Charles was staying at Tiny Town, a gang of bikers from the USA stopped at the campground on its way to a party at the Falkland Stampede. A tip from a stranger came in, alluding to the possibility of a biker trying to earn a gang patch, and he was told to kill the polite young Englishman. However, nothing ever came of that bit of information. Once again, if you have any information as to the whereabouts of Charles Horvath, please contact the Kelowna RCMP at Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477.